Those who perceive thus by their eye of wisdom the distinction between the field and the knower of the field, and the deliverance of beings from nature, prakrti, they attain to the supreme. The word evam is used, meaning thus. God says that he described two things in this chapter. The first is the distinction between the kshatriya, the field, and the kshatragna, knower of the field, and the second is the solution for all beings to become free from prakrti, nature. The word bhut is used, meaning all creatures. Sri Krishna says that a wise person sees both of these things in their gnan chakshu, eye of wisdom. When karma yoga, the yoga of action, was described, then the prajna chakshu, eye of the intellect, was needed. This is because the intellect always creates imaginations for the fruits. If one wishes to perform nishkam karma yoga, the yoga of action without desire, then they need the intellect in order to burn desires. This is the prajna chakshu, the eye of the intellect. This is a very symbolic thing. When Shivji opened his third eye to burn Kamdev, the god of love, the third eye was this intellect, and the prajna chakshu, the eye of intellect. For the success of karma yoga, the yoga of action, the prajna chakshu is necessary. When does the success of bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, happen? It is in the divya chakshu, the divine eye. Sri Krishna said in the 8th verse of the 11th chapter of the Gita that Na tu mam shakyase drashtum anena avasvaka shuksha divyam dadam me te chakshu pashya me yogam eshwaram. But you cannot behold me with this human eye of yours. I will bestow on you the supernatural eye. Behold my divine power. In the 11th chapter, while giving Arjuna a vision of the Vishvarup, universal form, the Supreme Soul gave Arjuna the Divya Chakshu, the divine eye. The success of bhakti devotion and the greatest state of bhakti comes in the Divya Chakshu, the divine eye, where one has a vision of the Supreme Soul. And the success in Gnan Yoga, the yoga of wisdom, comes when one attains the Gnan Chakshu, the eye of wisdom. These are the three eyes, the prajna chakshu, the eye of intellect, the divya chakshu, the divine eye, and the gnan chakshu, the eye of wisdom. Sri Krishna says here that one who can see the differences through the gnan chakshu, the eye of wisdom, attains to the supreme. To see the difference between karma, actions, and their fruits, one needs the prajna chakshu, the eye of intellect. One then sees that the karma, action, is different and the fruit is different. This either omnipresent and all-pervading nature of the Supreme Soul, to see the Vishvarup, universal form, one needs the Divya Chakshu, the divine eye. And to see and understand the difference between the Kshatriya, the field, and the Kshatragna, the knower of the field, and to see the difference between the body and the soul, one needs the Gnan Chakshu, the eye of wisdom. The word viduhu is used meaning that one knows this in truth. One who sees and understands these differences in truth with the Gnan Chakshu, eye of wisdom, attains to the Supreme Soul, to the Supreme Brahman and the Supreme Soul. Therefore, from the 13th to the 18th chapter of the Gita, God is making the same effort in order to make the Gnan Chakshu, eye of wisdom, open. This is because the Supreme Soul believes that if one has listened to the first to the 6th chapters of the Gita properly, then the prajna chakshu, eye of intellect, has opened. If one has had a vision of the Vishvarup, universal form, in the 11th chapter of the Gita, then the divya chakshu, the divine eye, has opened. And God says that he has given these. The Gnan Chakshu, the eye of wisdom, remains, and God says that slowly and slowly this will open until we reach the 18th chapter. And when this happens, then one attains moksha samnyasa yoga, the yoga of release by renunciation. This can happen. We say to God that, Lord, you are making efforts, but we have to make our own efforts. We will ask God that, Lord, we will make our own efforts, that we will be able to understand the difference between Kshatriya and the Kshatragna through efforts through our lives, as I have described in this chapter. We will keep seeing everything as a witness. When all of this is running, then what is running? I am not running. This body is running because I am steady. While eating, I will stop for a moment and think about who needs this food. The food is going in the body. I do not need it. One who keeps creating this difference and an attitude of indifference comes to the person, then they will attain the Supreme Brahman and the Supreme Soul. And he considers himself to be different from the body and one with the Supreme Soul. I spoke about the root mistake earlier when I was writing at the beginning that the biggest ignorance of all and the biggest mistake of all is one. We consider this body that is matter to be our own form. And we go far away from the Supreme Soul, who is our true form. And we consider the Supreme Soul to be different from us. This is wrong and this is a mistake. In reality, instead of thinking that I am the Supreme Soul who has come to reside in this body, one thinks that I am the body and I have to attain the Supreme Soul. This is a mistake. And because it began with this wrong assumption, no matter how many efforts one makes, how can you attain something that you already are? We have to make this forgetfulness and this mistake go away. We will therefore tell God that, Lord, through our effort, we will come out of this mistake, and we will experience the Kshatragna, knower of the field. The 14th chapter of the Gita is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the differentiation of the three modes. And it is extremely important in this journey of Gnan, wisdom, that we have begun. The 13th and 14th chapters of the Gita are the 2 steps for the 15th chapter of the Gita. Only when we climb these 2 steps of the 13th and 14th chapters of the Gita can we understand the 15th chapter of the Gita. The 14th chapter of the Gita is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of differentiation of the 3 modes, and we will see the difference between the 3 modes. We bow down to the 13th chapter of the Gita. End of chapter.